Hey man, welcome back, y'all. How's everybody doing out there, man? I was trying to keep y'all waiting too long this time, man. How's everybody doing, man? Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, y'all. Happy Wednesday. How's everybody, man? I hope everybody's doing great on this beautiful Wednesday so far. Welcome, man. Welcome. So, before we get it started, it's story time. Just, I like giving you guys a little peek into what's been going on into my life. As y'all know, I've been on and off being sick for the last God knows how many weeks. Elijah even thought I gave up at one point. I was like, nah, that wasn't the case. I was dying. I thought I felt better. And then last week, I felt like it started to linger, right? Like it was coming back again. So I finally went to the doctors on Monday and went to get a checkup. They did 3 different tests on me, a COVID test, a strep throat test, and a flu test, and I was negative on all of them. And mind you, this time I didn't go with my typical doctor. I went with the physician's assistant because it was so last minute, right? I literally called Monday morning to get this appointment. And so I go and I do the test or whatever. And she's talking to me about the results, and she was like, "Oh, it looks like it's been negative. I'll double check again, but I suggest that you go and get a chest X-ray." I'm like, "Cool." And then she was like, "These are the medications that I'm gonna send to you." It was like a list of 3 of them was what she was talking to me about. And then the other like nurse, I guess, comes in and gives me the piece of paper with the summary of the visit, right, and all of the prescriptions that you got to take, how to take them, when, and so on and so forth. And on top of it, there was a post-it note that said, I also RX'd a steroid to help you breathe. And then there was a smiley face on it. So I get home and Sam is reading it, and she's like, "What the fuck is this?" I was like, "I don't know. I didn't do anything." And so I haven't heard the end of it for the last 2 days. She's like, "You're not allowed to do that." It's on her story. She's asking everyone what they think about it. Apparently, she thinks that this woman was hitting on me, but I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, but if your boy got aura, but I don't think so. But yeah, I haven't heard the end of it the last 2 days. I think it's hilarious though. So let me know what y'all think. If y'all think I did something wrong. She said I should have done something. I'm like, I mentioned you, but hey. So that's what I've had to deal with. On the other end of that, I know we are over here we talk about basketball, right? But my New York Yankees are in the World Series. Gotham City, New York, right? With your Timberlands on, right? Gotham City, as Stephen A. would call New York City, right? Which it really is, right? It's what it's supposed to be, is New York. We are going through it right now. We won last night, which was great. We won last night, which was unbelievable. I was super, super happy. But we were down 3-0. And it really could have been 2-2 going into game 5 had we just not given up a walk-off home run in game 1. But it is what it is. So now we're in this situation where, history says it is not in our favor, right? And it's really starting to feel like, right after the New York Liberty had their success and won the WNBA title, the other New York teams have followed it right up with some bullshit, Bro, you just made me yell in the library with your Tim's on. I be like, Tim's on everywhere, bro. You seen the video of the guy? He said, we try to figure out what makes New Yorkers so confident, what makes New Yorkers like this, like that. He said, it's the Timberlands. He said, I put the motherfuckers on for a full day, and I felt like a superhero. And I was like, he was onto something. But, it looks like Gotham City is in trouble, man. The Yankees are having a tough time. And the New York Knicks, I don't know, bro. I'ma just play this shit.
We sacked Rome, loaded trade ships with plague rats, burned London to the ground. Every time a civilization reaches the pinnacle of its decadence, we return to restore the balance.
Gotham isn't beyond saving. Give me more time.
And with that being said, welcome to another episode of the Jayson Estrera Show, where we talk about basketball, sports, and any topic that comes our way as accurate as possible. As you heard, Gotham City is in trouble, and I don't know who about to save them, but we'll be talking all about it today. We'll be talking about the games that have been going on in the last couple nights. But, yeah, man, New York is in some trouble right now. Hi, Mom. Don't worry, you got Carl and whoever Mikhail shooting coaches. Bro, stop. I'm purposely not even starting there. I'm purposely not even starting there. We gonna get into some other shit first. So, as y'all know, we were at the Mavericks Jazz game Monday night, and got to see Luka live, Kyrie, Klay Thompson, and I was also really excited because I get to see Lauri Markkanen because I was never seen him live. Got to see Colin Sexton live. Got to see what's his name, Jordan Clarkson live as well too, fellow Filipino brethren. Yes sir. So I was really excited about the game. And so we got there. I got me my hat. We were just chilling over there. It was a really good game. Actually, it was a really good game, and I was really excited, especially because the Mavericks were coming off of their game, their finals appearance last year, right? And I kind of agree with Jason Tatum that this team has a really good chance of making it back into the NBA Finals. So I was really excited to see what they look like. Now, the Dallas Mavericks ended up winning that game. It was, what was it? It was 110-102. But I'll be honest with you, the game at no point felt close at all. At all. It was one of those games where even when it got to within a 4-point lead, you just knew that this team had no chance. And I was talking because my buddy was at the game. It was their birthday gift for me. They got tickets for me and Sam as well too, and then their family came. So we had a great time. But I was talking to him at some point in the second quarter, right? Or in the third, and I was telling him, I was like, there's no flow to this game right now, right? It's very choppy, right? The Mavericks might hit a shot here and there, but then it would be like turnovers, missed shots. The Jazz would do the same thing. I think the biggest run the Jazz made throughout the course of that night was like a 7-0 run, 6-0 run. And every single time there was at least two occasions, right? And let me see, how many did he end up with actually, because now I'm curious. He went 8 of 14 from the field. Kyrie had 23 points that night, right? So nothing crazy, right? There were two occasions in that game where the Jazz got it to within 4 points. And then Kyrie came down, hit a 3. Came down again, hit another 3. And all of a sudden you look up and it's back to a 10-point game. And it's just one of those situations. Kyrie get in, he get into his mini. He didn't have a lot of points, right? Every time he scored, it was a big bucket, right? It was one of those things where, you know, this team put in so much effort. They're within 4. They're feeling good about themselves. And then in a blink of an eye, doop, call a timeout. They walk into the bench like, we down 10? It's one of those. And it's so deflating as a team. And then they come out, hit a shot, 8-point lead. And then Dallas starts to get into a rhythm because, you know, Jason Kidd is able to give them some direction. They start moving the ball again. And then it starts getting to a 12-point game. And it feels really hopeless when you're in that situation as a player. Like, you feel like there's nothing you could do. And so watching it, it was really clear, right? And the biggest takeaway from this game was the fact that Luka did not have a great game by any means, right? He ended up with 15 points, 8 assists, 9 rebounds, 4 of 6 from the free throw line, 1 of 9 from 3, 5 of 22 from the field. So he was obviously doing other things as well, but he couldn't buy a bucket to save his life. So, you know, that was just one of those situations, man, where I think it's massive because if they can get going without him, right, he'll always play his game, he'll always find his way. But ultimately, if those guys can figure their way around him, it'll work out because he'll show up eventually, right? He's going to get his shooting going eventually. And I know he's a very rhythm shooter to begin with. But yeah, so that was that game did not feel as close as that final score would indicate. And honestly, the Mavericks look pretty good. Now, before we get going also, there was a moment in that game and we completely missed this shit. We completely missed this shit where Taylor Hendricks broke his leg. So, you know, prayers up to him for a speedy recovery and a really good recovery, right? But we completely missed this shit. We were in the middle of a conversation. The next thing you know, he was just on the floor. And I guess there wasn't really a massive reaction from the crowd, so it didn't seem like anything at first. But wow, I saw that shit after, and I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't. But yeah, man, the Mavericks look pretty good. Clay is really important. Right, and I'll even admit to some of my questions about this team coming in, right? About Clay fitting in. And I was talking to my buddy, and sometimes it's really nice to just talk to someone that might not understand the game as much, right? And so I was telling him how important Klay Thompson is. Right? Like, the corner guy has been such an important player. It's been such an important role in the NBA for a really long time. And it's because of that person's ability to really stretch the floor out. And we got into one of the most basic things that you can accomplish in a basketball game, which is to get 2 players on the ball. And I think that's why all of these moves, all of the individual oriented coaching that we've seen, it gets kind of lost when you think about the basic concept of trying to get 2 on the ball, because then behind that you have a 4-on-3. And now you don't need all of these moves because now it's just moving bodies, right? Someone has to react and someone will be open. And Klay Thompson is so important for this Dallas Mavericks team because you can't leave him, right? If you do, that's a 3. If you don't, there's a lob to Lively or Gafford, or you let Luka get all the way to the rim. If someone helps on the other side, that's Kyrie shooting. It really does make them extremely dangerous. And I think the fact that Luka is struggling right now in a weird way is kind of like a blessing in disguise. Now for this season, right? I'm gonna tell y'all what he's doing right now. For 2024-2025, 4 games in, right? He's averaging 26.8, 7 assists, 9.3 rebounds. He's shooting 80% from the free throw line, which is great. But from 3, he's shooting 26.8% and 24.8% from the field. It's 2 games. I get it. I get it, right? It's 2 games. And I think he's still a great player. It doesn't take away from him, right? I just think it's really funny how those were Jason Tatum's numbers in the playoffs last year. And they were winning and they were having success. But we heard all about that. And we have Luka Doncic, who has really struggled shooting the ball to start this season. He's still playing his game, and they're winning. And we don't really hear a peep about it. It's just something to keep in mind. And, you know, the irony in the fact that those 2 teams, in all likelihood, are going to end up in the finals again. But let's move right along. We're going to keep talking about the Dallas Mavericks because last night they went against the Minnesota Timberwolves. They were in Minnesota and they ended up winning the game 120-114. And we just talked about Kyrie hitting big shots, right? Well, he did that in this game, but he also had 35 points to go along with 5 assists, 4 rebounds. He shot 75% from 3, 6 of 8, and 56.5% from the field, 13 of 23. It'd be like that. I just got to point it out. And, you know, they're kind of in this similar situation now, right, where Luka has Kyrie. Now he also has Klay Thompson. And Tatum has Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday. I mean, you know, Derek White and Porzingis. Like, I'm not trying to say that Boston Celtics team is not stacked. However, he still led them in all the major statistical categories. And they won a championship doing it, right? But I'm assuming if this streak of shooting poorly continues for Luka, that they gonna get on his ass. So we'll wait and see how that happens. But the story of this game, which was the first quarter, where Anthony Edwards ended up with 24 points. He shot 6 of 8 from 3, 8 of 10 from the field. And he ended the game with 37 points, right? To go along with 3 assists, 6 rebounds. He shot 7 of 13 from the 3-point line at the end, 12 of 20 from the field. And like I said, they ended up losing the game. Now, him and, Julius Randle, for the most part, has also been playing pretty well. This game, he had 27 of 13 from the field, 3 of 3 from 3, to go with 7 rebounds and 7 assists. But really, they just couldn't stop Kyrie. And it was similar to the Jazz game, where every time the Mavs went on a run, Kyrie would now answer 2-3 possessions in a row and just get points and consistently stretching that lead out, right? And I think I want to say let's see. I want to say the Mavericks were up in the first quarter, right? Let's see. Yeah, 34-26. I think they lost that second quarter. Yep, 35-25. And, the game was pretty much, it was tight at the first half, but they really started to kind of take a little bit more control in that second half and then ultimately put the game away. But like I said, I think it's really important right now for the Dallas Mavericks to really build the chemistry around Luka. And not that you need to build confidence in Kyrie, but, him being consistent in that still, right? To take over when he needs to, when he recognizes that, Luka is not having it that night. But now they have a Klay Thompson. And, everyone is kind of just falling into place. And it's working out for them really great. It really is. Now, when we look on the other side, right, for the Minnesota Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards has clearly worked on his 3-game, right? And that was something that he had even spoken a lot about. I think he was super frustrated in the way that they went out in the against the Nuggets in the year before, and then last year to the Dallas Mavericks. And a lot of it was they were just loading up on him. They always had 2 people remotely close to him, and he would always swing. And when he got it back, they were still on him, right? And I think his whole idea was to be able to hit that shot on a consistent basis, to kind of keep everyone at bay, or to really force people to overextend on him so that they can make plays behind him, right? And then you get a player like a Julius Randle who, on the weak side on the weak side, gets to play one-on-one basketball, which is what he does really well. And he's shown that so far, right? So I see Anthony Edwards' idea, right? His 3-point shooting, right? Last year, he was averaging 6.7 attempts per game. This year, he's averaging 13.3. And the great part is he's still averaging about the same amount of free throws, which is 6.3, even though it could go up. I do think that we've kind of lost the art of, let's draw up a play for him. Let's have him coming up off on the move, instead of when he's dribbling it and he has to get into a pick and roll, or he has to make a move to hit a shot. And the defense is consistently set. So I think that's where the issue is. They have to be able to move the ball around a lot better. I do see his idea. He's doing what he can, right? He's doing what he can. And to be able to hit the 3-point shot is not only important in the game, but it really does help stretch out the offense, right? Because, they have good 3-point shooters, but they don't have a Klay Thompson. And he's essentially trying to be the Klay Thompson also on that team. So we'll see how that works out for them. Now, from one young up-and-coming player to another, let's take a look at this right here, man.
Takes a lot of energy. I'll say that. I was after the game, but like you said, just being in that zone. Honestly, I didn't drop 50 in high school or college, so I really had never been in a zone like that. Honestly, so to have it be on the biggest stage and be in the NBA and in front of our home fans, it was amazing.
There was a whole lot of MVP chants. I could even hear them through the TV raining down for you last night. You said
yes,
after
sir.
the game, well, maybe a couple less because I missed a couple of free throws, even though you went to the line a whole bunch. What does it feel like in those moments to hear that?
Yeah, it's a dream come true. I've said before, it feels like when you're in 2K, you're playing 2K and you're having a great game on 2K, they start chanting MVP. I remember the first time they did it in my rookie year, and I just remember, having chills run down my back, because I never experienced anything like that before. Just having the whole arena chanting MVP for you, it's a surreal feeling. It's something that, you always dream of as a kid, just hooping, at the park or in the driveway. And so thankful for the fans and just their support for.
So there was Paolo Banchero, who on Monday night, excuse me, there you go. He dropped a 50 piece on the Indiana Pacers. And he did it extremely efficient as well, too. He had 50 points. 50 points, 2 blocks, 1 steal, 9 assists, 13 rebounds, 15 of 22 from the line. Could have been better. 68.2%. 3 of 9 from 3, 33.3%, which isn't bad at all. And 61.5 from the field in total for 61.5%. Now, I have been talking about Paolo Banchero a lot, right? I've been very high on him. I think he has potential to really contend to be one of the best players in the game. He has size. He plays with a force and a physicality. He's got a great touch on the ball. He can make tough shots. He can shoot the mid-range game. We already know how I feel about that and what that means for great players. He can shoot the 3 ball. And he's still getting better. But he's already taken the Orlando Magics to the playoffs. And so to see him get his 50 ball and for him to say that he's never gotten 50 in high school or college, but does it in the NBA. The confidence, and we've talked about confidence, what it could do to someone. The delusional confidence, the way that can catapult someone. It's hard to quantify that. But it does a lot. And when you think of a player that is already so close, some might say underrated, on a team that nobody really cares for right now, which is a whole nother topic that we'll talk about later. But to see Paolo Banchero put that performance on, yeah, dog, like that shit was impressive. And moving forward, how will his game look? How will he look? And like I said, I've already been really high on him. He's started off the year really hot as well too. So yeah, man, it's just unreal. Now, actually, before we move on from him, let's just take a look at what his numbers are looking like for this year. 28.5, 1 block, 9.3 rebounds, 6 assists, 63% from the line. He's leaving a lot of points on the board right there. 39% from 3, 48% from the field. Now, he's one of those guys. He takes tough shots. Numbers are going to, it's going to be skewed, and he's not on a great team. But if he can get his efficiency up just a little bit, mainly the free throw, right? You're leaving 2 to 3 points on the free throw line right there. That's 30 a game right there. He's leaving some points on the free throw line. So we're looking at another. I mean, we talk about Luke all the time. This guy could be a 30 and 10, 6-7 assist guy. And he's only getting better if he learns to be in the paint a little bit more. And I mean, you just never know. But I've been super high on him for a reason, and he's showing it. He's showing it for sure, man. He is showing it. Now, we gotta talk about it, man. Yeah, I mean, I'm not happy about it, but we have to talk about it. So, the New York Knicks lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers on Monday night, 110-104, and I'll be honest with you. Through most of the game, it didn't look great at all. And, obviously the Cleveland Cavaliers made it to the playoffs last year, but we're supposed to be better this year, right? And the fourth quarter is supposed to be where we can take advantage of a team like this, right? Because we're better. And, granted, I was trying to watch this game while I was at the Mavericks game, right? But I just saw, the end was pretty rough. I think we really do need to start looking at Tom Thibodeau as a coach. And maybe one of the weaknesses that he has, right? Which is his ability to coach great bigs. Because in his career, he had the Chicago Bulls, which was obviously Derrick Rose. And then he had Jimmy Butler, right? Guard-oriented stuff. Went to Minnesota where he didn't find a lot of success. Karl Anthony Towns was the main guy, and then he brought Jimmy along, and he brought a bunch of other players along. That needs to be investigated, first of all. Like, how you just, whatever. And then he comes to the Knicks. He had Julius Randle, and then Brunson comes in, and obviously the offense is now around Brunson. But maybe he just doesn't know how to coach bigs to be successful, right? To be effective. And they're forced to kind of just find their way and get buckets because the offense is not set up for them to get the looks and the touches that they should be getting. And when you look at Thibodeau's just career numbers, I mean, we're looking at under 500 in the playoffs. Yeah, this is the playoffs, y'all. Under 500. pretty good in the regular season, but under 500 in the playoffs. And, things like this do matter, right? And how are they going to deal with this situation? Because now we have Karl Anthony Towns. He can't just stay in the corner. You just can't play him there. Not consistently. His whole game can't be, all right, pick and roll with Brunson, stand in the corner. Pick and roll with Brunson, stay in the corner. That can't be how we use him moving forward. He's too talented, too skilled. Regardless of how you feel about, he's tough or not, we need to start putting him in better positions. And he's still getting his numbers, which is, I guess impressive in itself, right? It shows that he's talented. Because if you think about, Hartenstein had a lot of success because he didn't really need to touch the basketball as a big. That's kind of what Thibodeau likes. The Joakim Noah, the Taj Gibson kind of players. And then you just let your guards kind of do whatever. I mean, he used to run Derrick Rose with a Heinrich and then not a Eric Gordon, and a Ben Gordon. He used to run really small lineups as well too. And his bigs, for the most part, outside of a Carlos Boozer, they weren't offensive-minded bigs. And like I said, he struggled as a coach in Minnesota with Karl Anthony Towns already. And, it's kind of showing. So, I don't want to say that Gotham City is in trouble already. But it's not looking good for New York right now, y'all. There was a time, right, towards the end of that game where you can tell that Brunson was going straight hero ball. He said fuck it. He just said fuck it. He was just going hero ball, solo dolo. And so we can't win under those circumstances. And then we got a Mikal Bridges who's, I want to see what he's shooting right now. Let's take a look. Who the fuck is his name? Mikal Bridges. 35% from three, which isn't terrible. But he's supposed to be our 3-point shooter. And you have Jalen Brunson shooting at a higher percentage than him. We're gonna need him to up those. He can't be shooting 4.7 threes a game. It's just not. It's just not gonna work. He's still getting his 18.7. Brunson is getting his 23. Cat is getting his 15 right now with 10 rebounds. So there it is right there, right? There lies the problem right there. Cat is averaging 2 threes a game. It's just, we need to get this offense right? And I think it's gonna start with being able to use Karl Anthony Towns properly, right? We need to get him more shots. I don't think he consistently just shoots the corner shot. I feel like he likes the wings in the middle also. So we got to be able to get him shots in those areas, get him moving to the basket, one-on-ones on weak side to be able to drive on smaller defenders. I mean, got to use him like how he's supposed to be used. And then when Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson are in attack mode, then you're able to kick it out. Mikal Bridges gets his 10 threes a game. 10 3-point attempts a game. And if he's at the 40% mark-ish, that's 12 right there. So he's still going to get his 18. You know what I'm saying? Like, but they're doing some weird shit right now, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it, man. And I think the issue is there's no reason from Tom Thibodeau's track record to believe that he'll be able to adjust this. It just is what it is, right? Like, there's just nothing in his track record is telling us otherwise. So, I don't know, man. I'm not happy. I'm not happy at all, y'all. Not happy at all. Now, let's see. And we're gonna go from one coach to another, man. We got Joe Mazzulla, who I love. Joe Mazzulla is great. Absolutely great. He something new every day. Something new every day. I don't even think he tries. I think that's the best part. That's the best part, is he don't even try. But he said, and I quote, "The biggest thing that we rob people of from an entertainment standpoint is you can't fight anymore. I wish you could bring back fighting. I just don't get why some sports are allowed to clear the benches. We just have a ball. The other sports has one of the hardest surfaces and playing instruments in pucks and sticks, and we're not allowed to throw down a little bit." And now, Joe Mazzulla is, everyone has always said that he loves the UFC. He loves MMA. I'm assuming he probably watches some boxing. Very tough-minded. I love this shit, man. I love it. This is the guy that is at the head of the table for the Boston Celtics. And when you have a player that's quote-unquote soft, right? But, we've seen in times that, Jason Tatum's not no punk neither. But you have a coach like this that instills this kind of shit into them. Right? We're going to go with some of my beliefs. We're going to go with some of the things that, some of the things that's in his core. That's what he teaches them. And I think he adjusts to the basketball as it goes. But to have someone like this be at the head of the table for the Boston Celtics, a team that already feels like they got disrespected, right? I love it. I mean, yeah, he definitely, but people, like, I don't think people understand, it's like a media thing. They're not getting beat on by him 4 times a year. The Raptors are tired of him. I think, there's some people that only watch on TV, right? And I think, like, we went to the game and we were as far up as you could possibly be, right? And we could still see these guys clear as day. And I was like, that's a testament to how big these people are. Like, football players are massive human beings, but 6'2", 6'3" is already tall for them. That's Kyrie and Steph Curry. Like, a Jason Tatum is 6'10", maybe 6'11". I don't think people understand how massive of a human being Jason Tatum is, and the punishment that he takes on the court, right? He gets hit, he gets beat, and he goes right through a lot of the contact. So I think it's a very media driven thing. But Joe Mazzulla, like I said, I think he is the person that kind of takes that stigma away from the team, and by association, Jason Tatum. So yeah, bring fighting back, dog. Let them clear the benches. I mean, they only gonna fight, but so much. Like, let's be honest. Let's be totally honest, right? Like, certain people start to yapping, then you're gonna find out. You're gonna find out real quick. Now, to go from, our champions from last season, we'll talk a little bit about the champions from the year before that, which is the Denver Nuggets, who won in overtime last night against the Brooklyn Nets, 144-139. And, the Nets, I'm not going to say they're a bad team per se. I think Dennis Schroeder is a really good player in this league. And he has just an uncanny ability to win. I just like his style of play. I don't think he gets enough credit. He impacts the game in a lot of ways without scoring the basketball. Goddamn leaf blowers. But what's up with the Nuggets? Now, I know they've won the last 2 games, but going in overtime against the Brooklyn Nets and your Toronto Raptors, Elijah, you gotta wonder, like, what's up with these guys? I mean, we're expecting them to really go out there and be another contender, but they just haven't shown that yet. So, like, what's the deal, right? And goddamn. Now, no disrespect to Jokic, right? No disrespect. But when these players started winning their championships, right? Like a LeBron, like a Jordan, hell, the Warriors even, right? They were going deep in the playoffs every year and being very dominant year in and year out. And that's just something that we haven't seen from the Denver Nuggets. Now, granted, they've lost a lot of key players, and I think that that's just something to really note, right? Their defense and their shooting is not quite what it was when they won that title. But does some of that blame go on the shoulders of their best player, the MVP of the league? Because you're looking at some of these games and they're down 10, 12, 15, and you're looking like, how is this possible? How is this possible with such a dominant force in Jokic? Like how are the Brooklyn Nets able to get to you guys? They have their struggles for sure. They do, and I think a lot of people are already putting him in those conversations, right? That's why when Gilbert Arenas had the quote that he would be the worst 3-time MVP award winner, a lot of people were shocked by it. But he goes, well, when you look at the list, you got Jordan, LeBron, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and their resumes and everything, it wasn't even close. So it makes sense, right? In that regard. Because I get it. I don't know if Russ should start. I don't know if he should start. And we'll get to him in just a second, right? Because, and maybe this is just the expectation that we have that's too high now. Like, oh, you're the MVP award winner. You're this, you're that. But then you guys don't compete. And Jokic gets a lot of praise for being a triple-double guy, kind of like Russ did, right? And maybe this is a hot take, but as great as it is to have triple-doubles, I think that there's also like it's one of those things where there's a gift and a curse to it, right? Because when you're doing everything on the basketball floor and you leave little room for everyone else to do anything else, I think that dynamic is really hard sometimes. As Joe says, you get to deal with it. That's facts. That's facts. He is in that position, right? He's in the best player argument, right, as Jokic. But when you have a do-it-all kind of guy, how do you put pieces around him? Because now who else is grabbing the rebound? Who's shooting? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? As opposed to, okay, we have like a Shaq. All right, we know what to put around him. We have a Jordan or we have a Kobe. Okay, we know how to build a team around him. We need a rebounder. We need a shooter. We need someone to do this, someone to do that. It almost lets everyone feel like they're a part of the team. Even though for most of our life, the media has told us that those type of players don't make their teammates feel like they're a part of the team. But when you look up on the board and the other guys are getting double-digit rebound, this guy's getting assists because you're taking majority of the shots, they get to do other things. And I think when you're a triple-double guy, you kind of take that away from your teammates. And maybe that's just me. But I don't know. It's one of those odd things. Now, should Russell Westbrook start? Now, I've said it before, y'all. I take no Russell Westbrook slander at all. None at all. And he was getting cooked. Right? But last night he ended the game with 22 points, 5 assists, and a rebound. Shot 5 of 12 from the field, which is at 41.7%. 2 of 2 from 3, and 10 of 10 from the free throw line. And I think the thing about Russ, and he's gotten a bad rap, but I don't think these teams have been using him properly the way that he should be. I'm going to just be honest. Because you need to be able to give him the ball. And he can't be your corner guy because he's not a good 3-point shooter. One guy was saying he drives too deep into the lane and can't get a shot off. I was like, what are we talking about, bro? Like, he needs to be able to have the ball in his hand and make plays. When you have him coming off the bench, you need to be able to give him that green light. But also, what did I say about the Denver Nuggets? They've lost shooting. And it was the same situation with the Lakers. They were lacking shooting and brought him in. He doesn't solve that problem. It don't mean that he's not good. He's just not solving the problem that you have. He's just not. And he is becoming the scapegoat again. When he's been the reason that they were in the games, if we're being honest. His effort, his hustle plays, the way he can attack the basket, he still affects the game. But what did I say about Luka? There are some players that are rhythm players. The Nuggets bench does have depth or shooting. That's why maybe Russ or Jamal may help. That's true. That is true too, but I don't think you could take that away from Jamal. I think they've done too much, and he plays with Jokic too well. To get that role taken away from him. It's one of those things you're gonna have to take that from him. But also I think, and maybe this is like just for, maybe we give a lot of shit to some of these other players, but like maybe some of these guys could just be in a little bit better shape, dog. Like I'm seeing Jamal and Jokic, and they damn near running the same speed. Like these other teams are athletic, they're fast, and they have to deal with that. And when you're just not as athletic, I think you just have a little bit of a tough time. And granted, they're great players and they're able to find success still, but it's just difficult. It's just difficult. Now, I mean, Russ would actually solve that problem too, but it's the shooting. He needs to like be able to pick and pop with Jokic is kind of the problem. So Jokic has the space and the options, right? But like I said, I did like. I would have him finish games, but I do need to watch more. They do need to be in better shape. Look at the effort AD gives. No, that's facts. But I think nobody talks about it, especially with the smaller guards for the most part. But like I think Jamal could be in a little bit better shape. I don't think there's any problem with that. But yeah, like I said, even with like finishing games, their whole offense in finishing games is the high pick and roll or the dribble handoff with Jokic and Jamal. And I'll be honest, that's kind of the only reason why they ended up winning the games. Because Russ kind of gave them that spark. They got it going. And then Jokic and them finished the game off. Now, the one thing I wanted to say about the Brooklyn Nets too was when you're dealing with the better teams or the more experienced teams, right? And you have a Brooklyn Nets team that's young and still trying to find their way. It typically comes down to the little details of the game, right? So there was like a sequence, Jokic, getting offensive rebounds and scoring, which he does already, right? Like he does that already. And he's really good at that, right? But, excuse me, you got to put a body on him. There were Brooklyn Nets jerseys around, and he was still coming up with the ball. And then it was followed up by, Christian Braun was able to leak out on a fast break. And it's those little details that lose you games, right? Because the game had been so tight for most of this game, right? They went into overtime for a reason. But it's those little details that can take you from being just an okay team to a good team to a contending team. So they gotta tighten up a little bit. Because man, it was just some of those little things that they were missing. Is there anything else? All right, we're about to we're almost out of here, y'all. Now, we also saw the Golden State Warriors beat the New Orleans Pelicans last night, 124-106. And they won by committee. Because Zion and Brandon Ingram gave 30 apiece to the Warriors, but no one else really got anything going at all. And they shot pretty damn good too from the field. Ingram and Zion did. But on the Warriors, Buddy Hield had 28. Podziemski had 19. Kuminga 17. 21 for Lindy Waters. 17 for Moses Moody. The fourth was all Buddy Hield. He had 19 points, 4 of 4 from the line, 3 of 3 from the line, 4 of 4 from 3, 6 of 8 from the field. And out of all the things that I've watched in basketball the last couple of days, right, or even since the season has started, my favorite sequence so far. So, the New Orleans Pelicans were beating the shit out of them to start the game off. It was Brandon Ingram was getting into his bag. Zion was doing his shit. And so they had an early lead, right? They had like a 15-point lead early on, right? And slowly the Warriors were coming back, right? And it was in the second quarter where Gary Payton is junior, the second. They were on this run, and they were in the backcourt, right? They were inbounding the ball to CJ, and Gary Payton Jr. on his knees, right? He's just nudging him. He's right. He just keeps moving CJ. He just keeps moving him, and CJ looking at the ref like, you see what he's doing? And he's smiling, right? He just keeps moving him. He keeps nudging him, just getting into his space, right? It was similar to what TJ McConnell was doing to Brunson in the playoffs right before they made that run when I said the game was over, right, in Game 6. He followed that up, right? Let me see. I wrote the sequence down here. He hits a corner three, right? He followed that up with a corner three-point shot. It was 40-43. And then he had another dunk that made it like 42-44. Those little sequences when players can feel the momentum and the flow of the game is shifting, right? Because, I've done that before. Like I said, I've seen TJ do that where you're just asserting yourself by taking away space from the other player. My dad always taught me, he goes, you don't ever let a player take up your space, ever. That's your space. When you put your hand out and spin 360, that is your space. You don't let anybody dictate what happens in your space. And just that little thing that Gary Payton Jr. was doing, I knew that he understood what was going on in the moment. He understood that they were on a run and I need to disrupt this other person's flow because CJ McCollum is a really good player. And sure enough, the Warriors eventually win this game. So I wanted to just highlight that because that was really cool. But now we talk about Buddy Hield, who has been shooting the lights out this year, right? I know people were talking about Buddy Hield. People were talking about Klay Thompson and, how well he was shooting to start off the year and so on and so forth. But right now, we have Buddy Hield, who is shooting 9 threes a game, making 5 a game at 55.6%. And he's currently averaging 21 points per game. And a lot of people were worried about him trying to fill Klay Thompson's shoes, right, in a way, because that's essentially what they're doing. And, there was the video the other day of Steph doing a behind-the-back pass to nobody, right, expecting Klay to be there. But there is this inner competition between shooters that I'm going to let y'all in on. Because I've seen it, and I know people in the NBA have spoken about it, right? I get that everyone considers, for the most part, that Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time. And then people say Klay Thompson, and then, the list gets fuzzy after that, right? The reality when it comes to shooters, kind of like scorers, is that they all feel like they're the best. And realistically, it really depends on the day. I feel like on any given day, anyone can shoot the lights out. If you had everyone in a gym shooting. And Buddy Hield might not say it. He might not be boisterous about it, right? But he's been one of the best three-point shooters in the league for a while now. And I'm sure that he feels like he is on that list. That he might not be, oh, I'm the best, or he might not be, like I said, boisterous about it. But I know that he knows on any given night, he can outshoot any of these guys. And I think that inner competition is showing, and he's taking on the challenge, and he is shooting the lights out. He said, "Oh, you guys don't think I'm Clay? Watch this." Because like what an old Damian Lillard clip where he said, Steph don't have to deal with what I deal with, all the double and triple teams. He's coming off this and that, and he gets to shoot shots comfortably, essentially. Excuse me. I'm sure Buddy Hield may have felt that way about Klay Thompson. You get to shoot in a system that's designed for you to make these shots. Watch this shit. And so now him being in that spot, also being a great shooter, he's like, let me show you guys how good I actually am. Let me show you. I got you. Watch this. And so we're seeing that. And so I think that's kind of what's happening. It's great for the Warriors because, again, we let those other guys build confidence, build comfort, and then Steph will be able to do what he does, right? We know what Steph does. So it's just building on that. And yeah, man, that's good shit. Now, do I table this one? Let's talk about it. Fuck it. I need a little bit of water. Now, our final topic, because there were posts all about a decline in viewership on these NBA games, and I'll be honest, it's because motherfuckers are streaming it. They're watching this shit on Instagram, on TikTok, wherever, anywhere other than a TV. And if it was really that big of a problem, then they wouldn't have been able to sign these deals, right? If the NBA was not profitable. And also, like I've said before, last year they had a record in attendance for the NBA. A record. So people are watching as much basketball as ever. Let's just not even ignoring that. They're not even doing that, right? But if you look around the league, right, all of these star players are all on small market teams. We've talked about Paolo Banchero today. Anthony Edwards is in Minnesota. LaMelo Ball is in Charlotte. Ja Morant is in Memphis. Hell, you even look at Giannis has been in Milwaukee this whole time. And he's, it's amazing the popularity he's been able to get, right? But, when we look at those four, Zion is in New Orleans, right? At those 5 young players. No one is in a major market. And I'm curious how that will impact the NBA moving forward. Because before you know it, Jason Tatum, who's in a big market in Boston, even though everyone hates him. Luka, who's in a big market in Dallas. Those guys are, in a couple years, they're going to start creeping up into their 30s. where will the players coming up under them land? Are they going to stay at home? Are they going to sign with other places, trade, so on and so forth? I'm curious how that will impact the NBA in terms of which players are they going to highlight? Are they going to have to end up highlighting at Orlando Magic, even though they probably don't want to? Even with the New York Knicks right now, right? I know it's a massive market, and the Knicks had great success last year, and Jalen Brunson is the El Capitan. But I have seen him on commercials non-fucking stop. And it almost comes to a point where I would kind of like to see like a Paolo Banchero to get some of that. Even Shea is in a small market in OKC. All of these guys are. And like I said, I'm curious how this will impact the NBA moving forward. But we won't find out. We won't find out any about. We won't find it. I can't even talk. We're not going to get the answers to that today. And so for now, that's going to do it for me. Now, before I get out of here, please like, comment, subscribe, all that good shit. It really helps the channel out. Because like I said, we're trying to take this to the moon. And as always, thank you guys for hanging out with me. Y'all could have been anywhere on the internet, but y'all were here with me, and I appreciate you for that. So thank you so much. I'll see y'all on Friday. You have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week, man. Peace, 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 peace. Later, y'all.